Getting a drink.
Got a drink.
Oh, that thing must have been a little excited.
I'm already halfway through. Hello there, and welcome to the only Star Wars podcast that is live on Halloween night. I am one of your hosts, Corey, joined as always by my spookiest, most what's an E word that
Uh,
my
Ectoplasmic.
ectoplasmic co-host, Mr. Eckhartsladder of the Ectoplasm. How
Yep.
you doing?
Very well, very well. Nice short book this week that you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I really enjoyed it.
Me too.
Yep.
I think I read it in like under an hour, but
It was a 6 hour long audiobook.
I don't
6 hours.
understand how. I don't.
Mm.
But
No, I
yeah,
really dug this one. But we'll get to that in a minute. How are you doing on Halloween, Corey?
I'm doing good. So I've never had one of my dwellings be the target of trick or treating kids
I was
before.
gonna
So
say, yeah.
this is a whole
So
new
how many kids
experience.
did you have?
Well, Dana's been handling all of it tonight, but I think it's been only about 25. It's not a huge number, and most of them came in like one group. So there were a few stragglers, and then there was one group of like 12 kids.
It has
But
been a zoo here. Like it is 8:40. So that's pretty late, I would think. And like I just went out like we were out with the kids, so we just put a thing out and they were all gone. So either we had a shitload of kids because it was 300 plus it was like two things of 300. So either we had a shitload of kids or more likely someone just snatched it.
yeah.
But I just went out just now again to put Murphy out this time, and there were still like 5 kids passed by in like 10 minutes, and it's almost 9 o'clock, so it's crazy. It's been like a zoo here. It's my first time in this house, and like a lot of kids.
Yeah, I assume like most of what we get is probably the people that live in our little
Mhm.
condo area.
Yeah.
And then everyone else probably just goes to one of the more major streets, but
Yeah.
still been a decent amount. So we don't really have that many decorations either, so it's
Yeah.
people are probably skipping us by. Like in the last couple of years, we lived somewhere where we didn't have a working doorbell and we didn't have a working like front light and no decorations. So I
Mhm.
think there might have been people, they just didn't try to get to ours.
Yeah, we had like a table out front in our driveway, like because again we
Yeah.
were gone, and still like I'd look at the Ring camera. People walk right by the table with the bag of candy on it and
The,
ring the doorbell. Like
the picture you sent wasn't your house, right? That was
no,
okay.
no, no.
Because I haven't been to your new place. So it's,
Oh yeah, no, that's only Charlie has.
are you proud of that?
No,
Okay.
no.
Well, our topic for tonight, other than Halloween, is the Halloween themed Death Troopers novel by Joe Schreiber. This is, I guess, technically part of a duology. There's a second book that is like set several thousand years before as a prequel, but this one came out first. I think this is our first time doing an actual holiday themed episode in 5 years of the podcast.
Yeah.
So big exciting changes, and I have in the last couple days, mostly today, I went and I uploaded every missing audio version of the podcast,
Thanks.
which I think was the last 4-ish that were
Yeah.
missing. I did
Okay.
one
Thanks.
last week, and then as soon as we're done here tonight, since it is a themed one, I'm
I
going
was supposed to
to.
do it. Yeah. I've been bad about it.
No, it's fine. I'll just do it because I can just
No, no,
download
no, no,
the.
no. It's one of those things where I got behind on it, and yeah. So sorry about that, Corey.
So I will put this one up tonight. It'll go up right after, and then for the next episodes, it'll probably go up on either Thursday night, Friday morning, whenever one of us gets to it. But it will be it. We won't fall behind like that again. I
No, we
promise.
won't. Yeah, that was 100%. Just to explain to people, I had a football channel kind of take off. I've just been so busy. It has fallen a bit, and once you get behind one, it's just kind of like a mental thing, but
Yeah,
won't happen again. Promise.
like how my Discord messages are. Even if everything is easy to respond to or do, they just sit there, marked unread. Because it's actually doing stuff it's a big mental load. But yeah, so we'll
Speaking of
be
loads,
on track with that. I think all of them have about the same number of views right now, so I think there are people that are just
They'll work their way
listening to
through it.
all four in the last
Yep.
3 hours.
Yep.
But yeah, so Death Troopers, Star Wars has its own take on zombies here tonight that we're going to be talking about.
Yep.
And yeah, so I guess the book starts out on a prison ship, an Imperial prison barge. I think it's
Purge.
like a lictor, yeah, named a
Yeah, that's
Purge.
what I was imagining.
Yeah, so even if it's not, we're saying it is now. And there's a lot of political commentary on the Empire sucking. They get shunted out of hyperspace. They are next to this derelict Star Destroyer, and when an away team goes to investigate, they bring back COVID-19.
Yeah, basically. Um, yeah, really bad COVID-19. It's a yeah. So I don't even know where I want to start with this book. There's a lot. We talked about the length, which is nice. It is very very short.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the shortest full book in Star Wars Legends.
Yeah, probably.
Gotta
It's
be.
about 200 pages.
Mm-hmm.
At least the ebook was about 200 pages. I don't know if
A
that's,
light 200 pages. Yeah.
but
And yeah,
well, I guess to start though, did you pick
Mhm.
up on the connection to the Last Abyss?
No, what was that?
All right, so do you remember Chulok from the Glass Abyss, the
Oh
Rhodian
yeah.
combined with the other
Mm-hmm.
guy?
Mm-hmm.
Whole brand new concept, right? This had never been seen before in Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Except in this book where
I
one.
submit to you,
Yep.
they saw an inmate, an alien species that Trig, the main character, didn't recognize, comprising two conjoined bodies, one twice the size of the other. The smaller body had already died and fallen limp, while the larger one cradled it weakly like its own child, weeping and trying to breathe. Didn't even look up at them as they walked by.
You know what I was thinking of?
Connection.
The that creature from Kodor. The remember there's like a two-headed alien in Kodor in on Terrace, and is like
Is that a
he's like
shopkeeper?
no, he's in one of the cantinas. I looked it up anyway, but his name is Per Dwog, even though apparently you can't pronounce his name without cutting your tongue out. I remember him saying, but or something like that. But he can't cradle the second body on him because it's in the back.
What's his name?
Paaer Duag
T?
D
Oh, D.
Duag.
No, the first, the like first letter of all the letters.
Oh, P.
P.
Yeah.
Google results ugliest Star Wars creature.
Yeah. I looked up ugly two-headed alien Terrace to find it.
Hmm.
That's what I imagined, but yeah, he can't cradle a smaller being because it's on his back. Did you find him?
I'm still looking. He's not.
Yeah, hold on. I'll send it to you. But and maybe we gotta start doing show notes.
Yeah.
Here, I'll put it next crew just without context. But yeah, so that's what I was first thinking. But you're right. Yeah, I did think of the Glass Abyss for that moment as well.
We do have a super chat, and I think it's a good point to bring up that it's not a book that makes any top 10 Legends lists, but a story this schlocky has no reason being as good as it is, just pure B movie horror fun. And I think that's kind of
Yeah.
my feelings on it as well. Like I don't necessarily love the book, but like if the premise of Star Wars horror story involving zombies sounds interesting to you, you're gonna like it exactly as much as you think you will. If that's
It's
not
a
at all,
very
or if that's a lot.
I will say, I also do highly recommend the audiobook for this one. It's closer to like an audio production in
Okay.
that there's full sound effects, which is really good because there's parts where like the zombies are screeching and like they've got like this they describe it like a sine wave where it starts low and gets high. So the book does all that, and like when the monitors are beeping and stuff, it's really good. But my favorite part is so the chat when they're reading the chapter titles, the narrator will read it. So like let me just look up the chapters. Um, 'Cause I just the narrator reads the chapter titles, and then like shortly afterwards, you hear like a screaming voice say it.
Mhm.
it gets more pronounced as it gets on. So like chapter 1 is like purge. So the narrator just goes chapter 1 purge, and then like it starts to get more and more like you start to hear it in the background, and then chapter 8 is called lung windows, which is a great name for a chapter. Just in the background you hear a guy go lung windows. It's actually, I really look forward to every chapter because like how are they gonna play this one, like, and like some of the chapters have really funny names as well, or like really good names, like Skin Hill. It's just, or Labrat. It's just very entertaining. You know what? I can probably even play one. Hold on.
I don't know if it'll be picked up. Oh.
I'm not sure if it came through.
It kind of did, but it was like duplicating.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, the little side. Pick up the audiobook. It's 6 hours long. Really, really enjoyable. Especially around this time of year. You know, I went for some nice drives with Graham while he was sleeping, and it was
Traumatize your child.
Yeah, great way to set the mood for fall in Halloween.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it does what it says it's going to do. I was kind of surprised. Like, I've obviously known about the Death Troopers because people bring them up all the time, and I knew the general lore behind them. But I always felt like the story would feel more out of place than it does, and I feel like it feels appropriately Star Wars. You get enough of the recognizable stuff. There are Han and Chewie are here, which is weird. They probably didn't need to happen. I was like genuinely surprised when it turned out to be them in solitary.
Well,
but
I knew they were going to be in the book. Like I don't think, I might have read this one a long time ago, but like I knew they were in the book, but I thought they came at the very end. So like when it was Han and Chewie in solitary, I was confused, and it is kind of funny if you think about it. Like fucking the Empire, like Han is supposed to be scared when he's on the Death Star, like compared to this.
Well, he's scared because he knows that there's zombies that could be there.
It's one BBY. This was like 2 weeks before he's off to Yavin. Yeah, it was. I thought that was really funny. And it's just like, obviously when it's Han and Chewie, there's no tension. The story almost works as like a not strictly canon one. Like when reading this, like, am I going to headcanon the events of this book as a part of Chewie's backstory? No.
Well, I was thinking this might be the most Chewie we get, like the perspective of in a book at all in Legends.
I really like Chewie. That's why, like, I will say, introducing Han and Chewie takes a lot of the drama out for these characters,
for sure.
But I actually thought I thought it was a very good Han and Chewie. Like, I thought it was written like them. I really liked the Chewie POV scenes. POV, you're a giant Wookiee, and you've got to slaughter a small innocent Wookiee, or a small zombie Wookiee. And yeah, it was like the most, I thought, a really accurate version of, okay, what would happen if they were thrown into this completely silly zombie situation. And I will say, I do think it actually fits the tone of the book quite well, where there's a way you could make this book be very, very, very dark. And it is in like what actually happens, but I think it keeps a pretty light tone despite like all of the, it's actually, I was really surprised by how gruesome it was. Like how much they were, like, I kind of thought it'd be like, oh, there was a zombie and his face was really scary. That's the creature over there. But it's like, there's like one scene where she's like cutting through, what's Trigg's brother's name? Yeah, he's cutting through Kale's like stomach muscle, and like that was pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
So
and then they
like,
blow off Kale's face.
Yeah, like he has a pretty traumatic random death by a blaster bolt, and like half his face is missing. And I've been reading a lot of Stephen King for the just Halloween, and it reminds me of a lot of the level of gore in those books. So not to say that it's Stephen King quality writing or horror or anything like that, but I was surprised, and I do think Han and Chewie help keep the tone kind of from getting too dark. Although I know some
Yeah.
people would like that.
Well, I mean, you open up the book and you're introduced to Trig and Kale as two of the main characters. Trig is the main character, along with Dr. Zahara Cody, who's like the ship's medic on the Purge. And so, like, they're the primary characters, but Kale is kind of, if there's a third, it's him. But, like, as soon as they establish, like, okay, Trig is the kid, and Kale is slightly old enough to be considered an adult, that's basically just saying, yeah, he's gonna die. He's fair game for us to kill in this horror story.
You know, I thought they might kill Trig. I really did. When he's falling, I was like, you know what? It's gonna be just Han and Chewie out of this. I don't know if I'm a fool for that, but
no, I never really felt like Trig was likely to die. I thought Zahara maybe. Like, I thought Kale was fair game. Like, I was expecting him to die from the time they had their conversation about their ages. But I did kind of feel like Trig. Like, once you get down to just Trig, Han, and Chewie, I do feel like that's where the stakes feel the lowest. Because it's like, okay, well, I don't think they're going to kill the 13-year-old kid. Because, like, he's the stand-in for the people who are reading the book, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, Han and Chewie don't die. But if they did a storyline where Han and Chewie get replaced by zombies... Now that would really recontextualize Star Wars Legends for me, and I could see that working out.
That's why they never seem to age.
No, he says he's getting too old for stuff when he's like 86 and still doing it.
Nothing actually changes. You know, there was also the character of Sartorius, who, you know, I actually liked him too. Where like he's I was gonna say he's unrepentant, but really, he's not, but he's an asshole. You know, he's like a total authoritarian dickhead. Like it's kind of funny early on because like he's got anxiety and like he's worried about things, but he's killed multiple people in cold blood.
Yeah, so he's like you. Like, did you really relate to that?
Exactly. Yeah, he's just like me. But you do learn like, yeah. He had a fucked up upbringing, but it also never excuses him either because he does a bunch of shit. Like when he blasts away, he leaves the kids to die, and he's like, "Man, like even considering everything, that was really shitty to do."
Yeah, like
I thought he broke his leg though when he crash landed that thing
in the pod or in the escape pod. He does, yeah. He steals it from the brothers.
Walking around fine.
Yeah, well, it was trapping his leg, but it was just keeping it safe.
Yeah. See, I thought his leg got like turned, like I misread it. I thought his leg was like turned around backwards, like completely shattered, but
I mean, that wouldn't be beyond what the book does. Like if it's willing to take its kind of 18-year-old secondary protagonist and blow their face off in probably the most gruesome blaster shot we get in one of the books, then it's...
Yeah. Like someone gets shot and like, Legacy of the Force, Han will get shot, and like he's got like it'd be like, oh, mild charring, and then like he gets shot, and it's like his eyeballs boiled out of the side of his face, his jaw was exposed and dangling to the ground, and yeah.
And then he puts on a nice stormtrooper helmet so that when he confronts Trig as a zombie, he gets to have a nice reveal.
Yeah.
The zombies have a sense. They not only learn how to break into the shuttle and like how to use an X-wing for the lasers, they have a real sense of like drama and performance, which I appreciate.
Yeah, the zombies are dramatic bitches. Like there's that one the gangster who he almost kills Trig of all the zombies. And I was trying to think of like, whenever I watch a zombie movie, I like to like run through the zombie tropes and see what kind of zombies they are. And like one thing I found was really interesting is this is one of the zombie stories with the most competent medical teams. Because on one hand, like they take no precaution. It's like almost like Aliens not Aliens, Prometheus. In Alien, I think they do wear breath masks. But in Prometheus, they go into this thing, they wear no protection. They instantly get fucking infected with this black goo. And it's kind of like this. They go into the Star Destroyer. It's completely deserted, so they think. And yeah, they get fucked up, but they instantly make a preventative medicine for it, which you don't usually see that. But regards to like what the zombies are, like which fictional zombies they're almost kind of like the Flood in a way,
Yeah.
because they're not purely shambling. They've got like almost a group consciousness, and they do get more intelligent the longer they're around. But they don't have. They're not like superhuman strong. They're not like super slow, but they're not sprinting. They kind of jog. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty fun zombie archetype.
Yeah, so like we find out some of the background on how they work and why they work, why the Empire is doing this in the first place. Where Zahara Cody, the Doctor, is on Star Destroyer Vector. She goes with Han and Chewie and Trig and Kale, and then she finds the lab where they were working on this, and one of the medical droids there. I'm gonna shamble around as well. Is able to explain what they were doing, which like not a lot of security in here, which is that's the Empire's choice. And they say, yeah, we want to keep the nerve system. The virus is going to be able to keep your nerve system firing, nervous system after death, like after nobody's home anymore. And so like I feel like that is enough of an explanation for me to be like, sure, this can happen. I'm fine with that. But then they also go further than that at the end of the book, where like everyone's supposed to be afraid because they've learned how to like fly the TIE fighters. They're gonna go out and spread the virus everywhere else. But then when they're like 20 feet away, sorry.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I love how no one's really that concerned. Like they just want to fucking get out. Like Han sees them flying, he's like, "Oh, that's gross."
One of them's licking the window.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, they get like 20 feet away, and then they just start clearly dying in the cockpit. It's like, now I understand how the stakes in this aren't slightly higher. Like, okay, well, you set up your sandbox, and then you just kicked it all in at the end. I see where we're going with this.
Yeah, and there's like clearly something. It's obviously not just a virus, because he picks up the black container, and the goo itself almost seems like sentient. It's like moving around on its own. So that's.
Well, it's kind of interesting because, like, in that same scene where Cody is in the lab, she injects some of her antivirus that she made just by, like, synthesizing some of her blood because conveniently, like, she and Sartorius are just immune to it automatically.
I was so happy they didn't do that with Chewie and Han, by the way.
Yeah. Well, they kind of made Han and Chewie anti-vaxxers, which is kind of funny. Yeah. But yeah, so she injects the antivirus into one of the scientists, and he gets better for a few minutes. He can't really communicate because he's kind of rotted, but he's like back to being himself. So like, if you had enough of the cure, could you fix all of these people?
Some of them, not the guy with the face blown off, but maybe some of them. If you get to them quick enough, like
if they haven't been eaten.
Yeah, because you can get it by just like zombie bites too. And like clearly zombie fiction exists in the Star Wars universe because they seem to understand what a zombie bite means.
Yes.
Yeah. Like Sartorius gets bit and he seems to recognize what that means.
Yeah, like Kale knows what's happening when he gets bit in the leg, and he's like, "Yeah, you gotta cut it off."
But you gotta grab that little fucking nodule out of your.
That was pretty nasty. The stomach scene with them. But I guess jumping back a little bit, we have the introduction to Sartorius, who has killed Trig and Kale's dad before he steals the escape pod from them.
And a random dude as well, a random guard.
He does like to kill people.
Yeah.
He's very sadistic. We get some nice little lore reveals on the Empire's correctional officers getting their test results fudged, where they want all the depraved ones.
Yeah, that was like the VH test, right? Or something like that.
It's it's V8 test. They have to drink vegetable juice, and if they enjoy it, then they're a psychopath and they can work there.
And no vodka either. No Caesars.
There was a period in my life where I thought the solution to my addiction to pop was that I just liked things in cans, right? So I thought maybe I would like V8. I think I was like 14 when I did this, so I asked my mom to buy me V8, and she did. And I made it through a whole case, but it was not good.
Your mom's just like standing in the doorway, just like
Go
if
back to
only
the
he just
Coke.
like he could just get out of this by saying he doesn't like it. That's Caesar. That's Caesar fluid.
Yeah, I mean, my parents love Caesars, so maybe I should have just given it to them for some Clamato mixing.
Mm-hmm. I've told the story before. I ordered a Caesar on an airplane once. They gave me a thing of V8 and a package of salt, like a McDonald's salt package. It wasn't McDonald's, but that style, and a small thing of vodka, and that was
It just
only
feels like
$8.
a Trailer Park Boys episode.
Yeah, it really does.
Where's the Caesars, Ricky? Yeah, so Cody gets introduced as well. We hear about her former torrid love affair when she was that when she was a medical student or when she
It seemed like when she was like a resident.
yeah, she'd
Maybe.
graduated from school on Renal.
Mhm.
And then that made her want to go out and
Really
help people.
surprised that a Imperial prison barge has any sort of medical staff whatsoever.
Well, they've got it. The Empire as an outlawed doctor. If you're going to execute someone, you need to know how to do it. Other than blasters, I guess.
I mean, they're in space; they can just chuck them with the airlock.
But then you lose out on the resources of their bone marrow.
That's like what I was thinking was, I guess the only reason they want to keep them healthy is so they can labor.
Yeah.
But like, the idea of a prison barge is kind of weird in a universe where you can get across the galaxy pretty quickly. But
well, you can only get across the galaxy at the speed of plot, and that doesn't really
Yeah.
apply to prisoners in their day-to-day. Because like Trig and his family don't seem to have actually done anything.
yeah,
They talk about at the start how like the parents weren't really rebel sympathizers,
no,
just kind of did their stuff, but then the Empire decided they wanted to get him anyways, so they got him. They don't really go too much into that. The biggest like payoff of their relationship with their dead dad or their dead mom is that their dead dad, who had been killed by Sartorius a few days earlier on the barge, which had actually prompted Dr. Cody to want to leave her service to the Empire. He comes back as a zombie because he'd been sitting in the morgue with his skull kind of caved in.
Yeah.
And then they have to run away from him.
Yeah.
But the way they find the vector is they just kind of drop out of hyperspace. So was this all planned?
That's what
Was
I
it
was
all part of
wondering.
the test?
Because like what better way to test? It's like the ultimate testing field, you know? It's real life. I imagine like they specifically do it just outside the unknown regions, probably very far away from everything. I bet you every single thing on that Star Destroyer was stripped of a hyperdrive, and we know specifically that the Empire is not responding to calls for help.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that they put the bioweapon set to fail on the Star Destroyer, and we're just like, let's see what happens.
Yeah. That's a very Palpatine thing, because this is a project that directly involves Palpatine and Vader. Because this is, as we learned from Red Harvest, which I haven't read myself, an old Sith. It's old Sith alchemy that made this. Maybe we'll read Red Harvest next Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's old Sith stuff. Palpatine wants to bring it back, and this isn't the end of the project either, because in Star Wars Galaxies, it ends up on Dathomir.
I was looking at that. I was really surprised to see images of these characters when I was looking them up.
Yeah. And it's like it's got the Galaxy style art, but also the like Galaxy's trading cards art. Because there's like Night Sisters that fall to it. The player character in Galaxies goes to Dathomir, and they
kind of
Stop
a
it
alien
again.
situation where Sigourney Weaver leaves and then they get it right back in.
Yeah, but it'd be more like Aliens if the next version of the virus turns everyone into clones of Zahara as well.
Is that what happens?
In Alien Resurrection, don't they like?
Oh, Alien Resurrection. I thought you meant in yeah, the Alien, yeah. And she's like, kill me. I just remember because I watched that with my buddy and his parents, and like half the alien clones have like their tits out.
Yeah.
Which like really that's like the worst, the least, it's a pretty violent movie. Like there's the one alien that gets sucked out of the small hole in the they like pierce a hole in the glass to the vacuum and it gets like sucked through the little hole. It's very violent.
I only remember the swan dive that Ripley does in Resurrection. That's it. And I mean, I heard so another podcast I listened to recently described it as a backdoor pilot for Firefly, and I kind of want to go back and watch it and see if that's actually accurate.
I've only watched it like twice. It's not that good, but
No. I mean, because like it's Joss Whedon between Buffy and Firefly, right? So it makes sense. But
yeah.
I watched like all of the Alien movies within the space of 2 weeks in university. We just threw one on
So
every
do you
couple
like
nights.
Alien or Aliens better?
It's been so long that I can't really. I think at the time I thought I liked Aliens better, like that it was my favorite one, but I could not tell you why or what that would have been based off of, other than I remember that vague feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I I like Alien more. It's just I've said this. I don't think on the podcast. Aliens, it kind of makes the xenomorph too much into like a bug, where there's just like 50 of them. They just get gunned down. Where the first one, it's like a primal creature of like weird sexual energy that like kills and rapes you at the same time, which is dark, but like that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Like someone need to like sit Geiger down and like like really, are you okay? Like I know you like I've read some stuff about his personal life. It seems like he wasn't, but friends check in on friends when they see them create the xenomorph. Like that's the back of his head is a cock, right? Especially in this concept art. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Everything good? Okay.
I don't think anyone was unaware of what they were doing there. Like that was the premise that it was built on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have the ships link up. They have their away party. I think it's like what, 2 groups of 5 or 2 groups of 6 that go in.
Yeah.
One of the parties comes back, the other does not. And
Does not, no.
so Cody is treating the 6 of them, and they get like these sacks of
When they find the lung room.
Yeah, they do find the lung room where it's like
The lung window. Sorry.
it's kind of like splayed out, right? Like it's got the whole lung splayed out.
Yeah.
All right. So it's been a few months since I've talked about Worm, but spoilers for anyone who might want to read Worm. So if you're again, read it, it's great. But there's a scene in that book where basically the premise of Worm is that everyone, like, there's a bunch of these superpowered, like, it's a superhero series, and there's a group of, I think it's called the Slaughterhouse Nine, who are this like super villain group that go between cities murdering as many people as possible, then they move on, and they kidnap one of the protagonists, and so they put him in a deep freezer because one of them, their superpower is basically knowing everything they could possibly know about medicine. So they make like modifications of people. They have like webbing that they put on their own skeleton to make them like invulnerable, basically. So they flay this character to the point that like all of their veins, all of their skin is like wrapped around this freezer. She's like pinned up on the wall with his organs all around the room, and I was kind of picturing that, and it might be the most disturbing thing I've ever read. So yeah, read Worm.
Yeah. It's not a Oh, thanks for that, Corey.
Read Worm. It's great.
I can't have my Goodreads number book drop that low because I'm reading one 20,000 page fucking e-novel.
Read one chapter every day, and then you might finish by the time you die, or one chapter every week.
So did you finish it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
no more?
Well, there's Worm and then there's Ward. I haven't read all of Ward yet.
I really thought you were gonna say Worm too.
Worm 2, the Worm Boogaloo. But no,
More Worm.
it does have a sequel, but you don't like a lot of people don't read the sequel. I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea what happens in it other than like 6 chapters I've read. Just, yeah. And like because of the some of the negative reaction to Ward and some of like the fan response in general, the creator of Worm decided that he probably doesn't want to work in that universe anymore. Like as a Star Wars fan, it's all very familiar stuff to hear.
Imagine writing 7,000 fucking pages, and that's crazy.
I don't know if it's longer or like it probably is longer than the whole NJO.
Oh, it's gotta be. Because, well, it'd be pretty close because it's like almost 20 books, 7,000, that'd be 350 each. So,
Mm, Worm is 1.7 million words. So it's about 17 books. So it's probably a little bit longer than New Jedi Order. But it is kind of broken up into sections that are kind of their own book, so it's readable. Look, anyways, so yeah, the long window made me think of that scene in Worm.
It's probably the first time you could say that about a Star Wars story.
Yeah. And yet I'll still find other reasons to bring up Worm for the rest of my life.
Well, you kind of got to, or else you've spent 7,000 words wasted.
Didn't even make a lore video.
Yeah. Well, you could.
I could. It's hard when there's no visuals. A lot of fan art though. Yeah. So they come back.
Art your own. From
Cody,
an artist, no ChatGPT.
yeah, do some 3D art of these characters. There's fan animations of some of the characters dancing. Like this is not in the tone of the book at all,
Like
but
Dancing Baby.
kind of. But yeah,
How
so
old is it? Is it early internet? It's not that old.
I think it was like 10 years ago that it finished. I first heard of it when my friend in university was reading it. So. But yeah, so the other party all die pretty quickly, other than Sartorius. They like
he's just built different.
The way they usually, if you die from the infection rather than getting bitten by someone who has the infection, it's like a bunch of goop gets up in your throat, and then you just projectile vomit a bunch of blood on people,
which is convenient because that's spreading it.
Yeah, it's like null.
One thing, people have made that connection because it's a little black goo.
Yeah.
I haven't read the prequel, so I don't know how much it clears up the origin, but I think pretty.
Yeah,
but you can always make the connection.
It's entirely cleared up in the origin.
Yeah. So, what was I gonna say? One thing I would have liked to see more in this book is more aliens. Like, see how the different aliens are affected, because like the Wookiees have a very unique way of, like, when they get infected, basically their tongues like swell and they almost like choke to death. I would have liked to see like an Athorian zombie, just because that sounds cool. Just like, you'd think the Empire would be picking on aliens. So
yeah, like we get the Rhodians that are in the cell across from them. Like there's a lot of alien prisoners that would have given the opportunity for that, but frankly, like if we're keeping it 100 here, Trigg's a little racist. So I think he thinks all the aliens are the same, and he doesn't really know like what aliens are responding in what way.
He's like, wow, that Rhodian over there is a real asshole. Like,
and it's a Duros.
Like, wow, close enough. they're weird looking and tiny.
One's a bug and one is a Neimoidian.
Neimoidians are kind of bug look like,
yeah,
almost as much as a Greedo.
That's something that the Greedo. Like Duros have been around for so long, and yet Neimoidians are from the prequel trilogy. So what's the oldest picture and appearance of a Duro? I guess it's from the original trilogy, so I'd shut up.
Yeah, because there's one in the cantina.
Yeah. I was thrown off by a Twitter thing. So yeah, never mind. Duros have been around forever. I hand in my Star Wars card now. At least I caught myself.
That's like so. Like the whole thing is like Duros are spacers. They're supposed to be spacers, and I'm pretty sure that comes from the fact that the Duro in the cantina has like a spacesuit on.
Yeah, everyone is exactly what their A New Hope appearance was.
Yeah.
All the Rhodian, all the Greedos are bounty hunters. All the Duros are like the earliest space species. All the farm boys are whiny incels.
Yeah, I don't think I can. I'm not scared of a Greedo because I feel like I could bully one enough that like. Have you seen a Rhodian? Like I can't take them like they're such nerds. Like they look like they're always like about to smooch you. They've got the sucker fingers. Like no,
I can't call anyone in. I can't be part of this conversation. I didn't realize I guess I knew that Mall Lockdown was by Joe Schreiber, but I didn't really connect it as being the same guy who wrote these.
that was pretty violent. That's a pretty violent one too.
Yeah.
I did a video on the he fights a Yuuzhan Vong in that. Because there's like one in the I think it's called the Hive or wherever he's like he's put by Palpatine Maul for his training. He fights a Yuuzhan Vong in there, and it's very very gory. Like he like I want to say he like cracks his neck, like he like breaks his neck in a very like visceral way.
Yeah, but the Vong are into that.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't actually know that I've ever read Lockdown.
I read it a long time. That was one that like that was a cool one because it's got Darth Maul on
it. Yeah, you don't say.
Yeah. I saw on one of the Star Wars EU subreddits. I'm trying to remember which book it was, but they were like, "Is this a good deal?" And it was one of the old Star Wars EU books, and it had the cover was just 3 different like bottom faded images of Darth Maul, and it was also $3. So it's like that's $1 per Darth Maul. And also like, how is that a cover? It's just like that's what people don't realize now about like when they see these new like canon novels. Like all of our books back in the day were just 3 different movie scenes faded into each other.
Yeah. Or like different pictures of Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill where they're looking different directions.
Yeah.
Like I kind of try to mimic that for thumbnails, that like 90s EU style of character overlays.
I do love it.
Yeah, it's great. Like the Japanese covers are the best though.
Yeah, they're sick. They really are sick.
Like some Japanese NJO covers are peak.
Some of the like the Essential Legends collections have been okay, but I don't know, like one of my favorite a big part of the reason why I read the Star Wars Expanded Universe was because of that picture of Jorah Sabayoth
with his shirt open.
Yeah, for real. Because I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like he's like the emperor, but he's jacked and he's shooting. Like I didn't know what it was. I thought he was shooting lasers out of his fingers. Like when you just watched Return of the Jedi and you're 10 years old, like that is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And I remember something about like I can't remember is it the third one or I think it's the second one where he's where he instructs Luke briefly. I don't think he breaks up with Luke in the third one. It's the second one, right? And is it Joe Mark where he goes to?
I think it might be all in
Dark Force Rising.
Yeah, I think it is in Dark Force Rising where Luke is learning from on Joe Mark.
Yeah, anyway, I remember whichever one it is. I remember reading that on the back. I was like, Luke's got a new master? Like, this is so sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, like, the new thing for... Yeah, it's just... I don't know.
It's kind of just what things look like now versus what things look like.
Like, pulpy is, we call it pulpy for a reason. It's not what things look like anymore, but... I think the X-Wing books, I think that's an approach that they could continue going if they so chose, because all the X-Wing novels were just battle scenes.
Yeah.
And most of the time they were original art. I don't know how thin the margins are on these books, but like
Art's a
Yeah.
difficult one. One of the fun things with creating some of the earlier animated breakdowns I've done was like building those scenes from the cover and then like animating the
Mm.
camera around that.
Yeah.
But it is kind of crazy how often Joe Schreiber has written Star Wars books. Like he is one of the authors that has made it in both canon and legends. And it's been
Hmm.
like every 2 or 3 years he's written a new Star Wars book since he started.
Yeah,
It
let's
was
take a
Death
look
Troopers
right now.
first, then Red
Yeah.
Harvest in 2011, then
Hmm.
Lockdown in 2014,
Yeah.
Solo, a Star Wars story junior novel in 2018. Like it's all junior novels and new canon,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
2014, 2018, 2021, 2022, 2023. So he's been good for him.
Yeah. Good for him. Really good.
But
Pretty cool that
any
the book had a Star Wars Galaxies tie-in, right?
yeah, that's where we had the pictures we were talking about.
Yeah.
Its own little Halloween expansion. I do want to I want to play Star Wars Galaxies at some point. There's like the restoration. I think a lot of it can still be accessed through that. Like I don't know how
Hmm.
much they've got accessible in the restoration, but
Yeah. Be
MMOs
fun.
are my big blind spot in Star Wars. Like Tor
Me
and
too.
Galaxies, I don't know as much
Like,
about
I
as
feel like a
anything
lot of
else.
people nowadays don't realize, like, playing an MMO back in the day was different. Because for one, you needed to have especially like when I was young, I didn't have a computer till I was older, and we didn't have internet for a while. And then back in the day, all MMOs were subscription based, and
Yeah,
like that's still true of many MMOs now. But now parents understand what that means. Like, they most parents know what Netflix is. They know what you tell them. I want to buy this thing. It's $5 a month. Like that makes sense. If I told my dad I want to buy a video game back then, and the MMOs are expensive, $15 a month, like no, he's just
yeah,
gonna say no. Um, that's why like a lot of people played RuneScape because it was free unless you got membership.
yeah. Back in
Or
our
Habbo
day,
Hotel.
games were different.
Yeah.
But any other Death Troopers thoughts?
No, really enjoyed this one. I'm gonna say something controversial.
What's that?
It's an A for me.
An A?
It's an A. I really liked it. It didn't overstay its welcome. I know some people criticize it. I get it. I get all the criticisms, but for me, I'm biased because it's I finished it on Halloween. What more can you ask for?
Mm-hmm.
It's an A. Maybe I'll
Yeah,
review that later, but right now it's an A.
I think I'm kind of in the same place. I was thinking A or B. I'll, I think I will stick with A. Like, it's not
Okay.
that I necessarily think it is better than like some of the other books we've done that I'll rate lower, even necessarily The Glass Abyss as a novel.
Mm.
But I feel like it is like if we're thinking of our rankings as a way to recommend or not recommend a book, like it delivers on what it says it's going to deliver. I'm probably being softer on it because it is like kind of a junior readers novel, not junior readers, but like it's not a full
Don't
adult
let your
novel.
7-year-old read this one.
What? No.
Don't let your 7-year-old read this one.
No, but
Man, he
like
got the gift for a
it's a younger reader's novel. Like it's
yeah.
somewhere between the like young readers novels and like a full adult novel. So like it's doing what it says it's going to do. It does it well. It yeah.
No, totally
So
agree.
if you think you're gonna like it, you're probably gonna like it. If you think you're not gonna like if you're not interested in a Star Wars horror story, you're not gonna
Well,
like it.
it's very short, so just read it
You
anyway.
know what? I'm gonna put it at B
Okay.
because you know what, Han and Chewie, you lowered the stakes in my horror story. That's what's happening. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah.
But yeah. So next week, what are we doing?
Um, I don't know.
We
Let's think
finished.
about it.
We finished all the Invasion comics. I think like we should pick a comic series to get back to for the
Okay.
intermediate weeks. Do you have any like preference? Should we do Legacy?
Oh boy, that's a big commitment.
Hold on. Let's think about this right now. We have like 2 or 3 minutes to figure this out because we're gonna be finished the NJO, and if we go into Legacy at that point, that makes sense to do because then we can compare it to like Dark Nest and stuff. But I just want to see what the arcs kind of break up into. Because I feel like it makes more sense to do that than Knights of the Old Republic, which is also a lot of stuff.
I mean, it is a blind spot for me. I've never read them, so at least not all the way through. I've read portions, but
So Broken is a few parts, trust issues.
okay. Well,
There's
let's
like
start with one.
11. There's like only
Let's
like
start with
11
one arc. Then.
arcs. Let's
Let's start with one arc.
do let's do Star Wars Legacy Broken. Broken part. Yeah, Star Wars Legacy Broken next week. It's 8 issues of a comic. I think we can do it.
Okay. Even if it seems like a lot, like if they're long, we'll do 4.
Okay. Yeah, and like we don't have to do like all of Legacy in a row. We can do
Yeah.
There's Legacy 1, there's Legacy 2, there's also like all these different arcs we can do. We can make it work, and I think it's a
I would like to,
worthwhile.
after we finish New Jedi Order, I'd like to read a couple canon books.
Okay.
I want to read the Thrawn trilogy. The canon Thrawn trilogy. I'm shocked
Have we
haven't
never
those.
done any of them?
No, we haven't. We've done the Ascendancy trilogy. We maybe have done the later ones, but I don't think we've ever done the first one.
I don't think we've done the later ones. I don't know that I've read Treason.
They're good. The first one especially is my favorite by far. So I'd like to at least read the first one. I'd like to read Lost Stars. At some point, we're going to need to do Aftermath as well.
Yes.
Just to get your ass caught up.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Legacy next week. We are going to do Unifying Force sometime in the next month. It should be the next book we do.
Yeah. But
probably not. It's definitely not next week. Probably not doable on the 14th. Like we do like 2 weeks of comics and then we have the 21st or something. Aim for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. We're going to keep the Halloween fun going with Phasmophobia over on Corey Loses as well as X2. So if you want to join us for some drinks and ghost hunting, that'll be starting in about 15 minutes, allegedly, probably half an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for watching.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Happy Halloween. I hope everyone had a very special day. And if you wore a Star Wars costume, please let me know.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.